What's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of Arranged Conversations. Today we got one of a kind, the man by the law, Robert Webb. What's good, man?
What's good, baby? You
Nothing
good?
much. Yes, sir. How about yourself?
I'm good, man. Appreciate you having me
Hey,
on,
man.
man. Been looking forward to this for the
For
last few
sure.
weeks, so I'm excited, man.
Same. Appreciate you for accepting the invite, man. So today I just got a few questions to go over with you, man, and just really see how your intake on Christianity is and the progress that you went through to get where you are. So
Okay.
let's get started.
All right.
First off, before we do the questions, tell me what's your occupation? What do you do for
Ooh,
life?
man, this is a lot. I got a lot going on. You might think I'm Jamaican. Uh, let's see. Well, first of all, I serve as the minister of music at Covenant Community Church. That is in San Antonio, Texas. I am also the coordinator for fraternity and sorority life at Texas State University.
Yeah.
I am also the CEO of Bylaw Consulting LLC. What else? I am also the CEO and owner of Reckless Faith clothing
Okay.
brand. We can talk
Yeah,
about that a little bit more in the podcast.
for
That's a
sure.
part of my journey as well. Then I'm an artist, singer, songwriter, musician. Actually, have some music getting ready to drop pretty soon.
Super.
So yeah, man. So those are all of the things. I'm a father,
Nice.
husband. So yeah, a lot.
A lot. For surely, for
Yeah,
surely.
yeah.
Well, that's a lot, man. Congratulations on the album coming. It's coming on all platforms.
Oh
Where
yes, sir.
are we
All
tuning in at?
platforms, man. You'll be able to get it. Spotify, Apple
For sure.
Music. For all you Android users, you
Ah.
can get. Y'all will be able to get it too. But yeah, everywhere digital music is sold, man. So I'm excited about that.
Cool. Well, again, we're definitely tuning in. Um, Been able to say you're a child of God. What joys does that bring you?
So first of all, for me, there's several ways to answer that question, but I would say the main thing for me, one of the best aspects of being a child of God is knowing that you win in the
Okay.
end. uh, Always knowing that it doesn't matter what it's currently looking like for you. The Word of God tells you that it's all going to work in your favor in the end anyway. Uh, as one songwriter once said, it's a fixed fight. So you already know you won. You just have to endure what it is that you're going through. So for me, that's one of the, I guess, one of the crowning jewels for me of being a believer is knowing that in the end I win.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Alrighty, man. Well, you ready for these questions?
Let's make it happen.
Cool. So, we're first gonna start off and just talk about get a background on your foundation in faith. So, can you share us what's your most memorable first encounter first encounter with Christianity?
Huh.
Most
First
memorable.
encounter with Christianity. Well, my father's a pastor, so I grew up in the church. I've been in
Yeah.
church all my life. It seems like I was baptized at a young age. I
Yeah.
think around 3 or 4. Um, but I was having this conversation with somebody the other day, and I was telling him that I don't feel like I was saved until I was probably like 23,
Yeah. All right.
around 22, 23. That's when I feel like I had like my first encounter with God where I was like, oh, it's real for me. And it ain't just, I'm not just leaning on what I done heard my dad preach about all my,
Yeah.
transformative years going through school. I remember specifically, I had went back to college and I had really leaned into the idea and the concept of tithing. And I was at a great church when I was in school, and overseer Lorenzo Simmons and his wife Ola Simmons really taught me a lot, and I feel like that's when my relationship with Christ deepened. So I started again really diving into the concept of tithing because I believe a lot of people give, but they don't have an expectation. I'm not saying you give because you like, well, I want something in return. No,
Yeah.
you're giving with the expectation that God is going to do what he said he was going to do, however he said he was going to do it. And I remember one day, man, being in college, and I was really struggling financially, but I was tithing. And I remember Lady Overseer, she told me, she said, son, you just keep tithing. It's going to work out for you. And I remember one day I gave and I tithed. I think I was at some type of service. And I gave literally the last that I had. And the next day, when I got back to my apartment out of class, I had some mail on my bed. And it was a check for some money that I wasn't expecting. And I'm not saying that because I don't want people to think that this whole walk with Christ has to be like a material thing. But
Right.
I'm just saying it was in that moment I was like, okay, it's this
Hmm.
works,
Yeah.
and whether or not it was going to be in the form of money or somebody saying, yo, I done cooked some food, you ain't got to worry
Hmm.
about paying for no food, come by the house. So I think around the age 22, 23 is when I really started developing my own relationship, and I was like, this stuff is real to me.
Yeah.
You know, it goes back to what we were saying before we started. Like, I needed to see for myself,
Yeah.
and I saw for myself.
What's your put on being baptized at a young age? Do you think that's something that parents should choose to do for their children? Because, like you said, you wouldn't
Well, I chose to be
walk into it
baptized. You know what I'm saying?
at
Like,
3.
yeah, I
That's
walked down myself,
okay.
sat in the chair. You know, I'm old school. You know, you gotta sit down. You gotta you gotta sit in the chair, and and stand before the church, and then I was baptized. Um, I want to say this. I think, and again, this is over the course of me just learning more and reading and understanding on my own. We love to commercialize baptisms like it's oh, that's so cute, oh, it's so sweet, and it is. But what we don't understand is back in the day, like when Jesus was around and they were baptizing people, when you were getting baptized, you were literally aligning yourself with something
Yeah.
that at the time was not popular.
Right.
So, we look at baptism as, oh, it's so cute that little Johnny wants to get baptized at 4. But when you really look at the root of it all, that wasn't a popular thing to do. You were literally identifying with something that was not popular at the time and who was being persecuted at the time.
Hmm.
So I mean, I don't. I think we have to understand and read and have contextual background on the things that we've just been practicing in and operating in because we've just seen other people do it, but we've really never stopped to ask the question, like, what is the real purpose of this? So I don't think parents should force their children to get baptized. I think that's a decision that you have to make. But that's why I think I've seen this new wave culture, people like who are my age going back and getting baptized again, right? I don't think there's anything wrong with that. Being baptized is just a sign that you identify with Christ, right? You're putting off the old self, and then when you come out of the water, you're taking on this new identity, which is in Christ.
It's fair. How has your faith evolved over the years?
Ooh. Again, I think experience has allowed me to deepen my faith. I think that's the whole reason why I started this brand, Reckless Faith. Back in 2019, I had to make a decision that wasn't going to make sense, but it was going to make all the difference in my life. And the spirit was just like, hey, you getting ready to have to make a decision and you're going to need reckless faith. And I'm like, what you
Hmm.
talking about, reckless faith? He was like, you're going to have to make a decision that's not going to make sense to you or other people, but I promise you it's going to make all the difference in your life. And at that time, at the end of 2019, going into January 1 of 2020, I decided to move to Birmingham, Alabama to take a job. But that meant I was moving like 7 hours away from my kids
Yeah.
to a place where the cost of living was higher and I wasn't really going to be making a whole lot of money. So I get down there and it's literally a struggle. It's a challenge. But again, through all of that, God kept me. And I just had to learn how to again lean and depend. Is it gonna be? I need this to be real for you. So that's just one instance of like life evolving my faith and me getting to the place that I am now. There's really not too many things that I don't think that I can't do or overcome because of the things that I have already walked through. Because what happened in 2020?
Didn't work out.
Huh?
Shut down.
Yeah, but why did we get shut down? The pandemic, right?
Mm-hmm.
So imagine being sick, being somebody that never gets. I'm somebody that never gets sick.
Yeah.
Never had the flu, never had a flu shot. And when the pandemic hit, I got sick. So imagine having to quarantine by yourself in a place where you have no relatives.
Yeah.
You 7 hours away from your kids. So think about the mental weight that's on your shoulders, right? But after it was all said and done, God literally had to tell me I had to allow you to get sick so you would know me as a healer. Because see, I had just been depending on God to be the God that, hey, yo, Lord, I'm short. I need you to help me pay these bills. Right. And God was like, you will never venture out deeper into your faith if I don't put you in different situations where you have to view me from a different lens. So yeah, I've heard grandma and them talk about, oh, he's a healer. No. I got COVID in a time where there was no vaccine, where you just had to ride it out. You know what I mean? And God was like, I had to allow you to get sick so you would know me as a healer. Because I think sometimes we like to put God in a box and we want to believe God to do more in our lives, but we don't want to go in the deep end of our faith. We want to stay in the shallow end. We want to stay in the 3 feet of water, but we can put our feet on the ground because we feel like we are our own firm foundation. Yeah. And it's only until the Lord take everything from you to where you can't do nothing but lean and depend and stand on Him that you understand, okay, Christ is the solid foundation. That's why the old church used to say, on Christ, the solid rock I stand, on all other ground is sinking sand, right?
Never heard that one, but it sounds good. How has your relationship with the church influenced your personal beliefs?
Oof. That's a challenging question. How has my relationship with the church influenced my own personal beliefs? Phew. I'm in a very interesting place with the church. Because how can I say this? How has my relationship with the church influenced my personal beliefs? I feel like the church is one of the biggest hypocrites. The church.
Yeah.
The church. Because we are supposed to be a reflection of Christ and Christ's love. And what I'm seeing, especially where I'm at and when I'm around, I don't see Christ's love reflected. Again, I told y'all, at the lowest points of my life, when I looked up and looked around, I saw unfamiliar faces. It wasn't the church that was there for me. It was the folks in the church who condemned me once they found out my business. But it would be complete strangers who would come and extend a hand. It would be complete strangers who would welcome me in and speak life into me. So I think my relationship with the church has influenced my beliefs, as in, this is the type of person that I want to be. And this is the type of person I do not want to be. And I'm not saying what I'm saying to make it seem like the church is a bad place. No, that's not what I'm saying. Because what makes up the church? People make up the church. Mm-hmm. And anytime people are involved, it's not going to be perfect by any means, right? So my relationship with the church has influenced me or shaped me to really operate in the love of Christ. Because, like, some people would argue that some of the people that I like befriend or hang around, like, why you hang around them? Why do you talk to them? Well, when Christ was here, he wasn't up in the church. He was hanging out. He was hanging out with the people that Oh,
Yeah.
well, what you doing hanging out with them? Literally, Jesus had to tell some folk, is it not the sick people that need a doctor?
Yes,
Why,
sir.
why am I, why would I find myself hanging out in the churches where y'all know everything? I'm going to go out here where folk need help because this is where real ministry takes place. So that's my relationship with the church has influenced me to really look at what Christ has done and how he operates and try to move and shake like he did on God. Like, I mean, you know,
Gee. With that being said, what role does the community play in your spiritual growth?
I think community is very, very important. You know, we talk about it takes a village to raise people.
Hmm.
And I think that's one of the components that we are missing in development when it comes to just us, right? Community helps you grow.
Right.
I grew up in an era where if folks knew my folks, they could say something to me. I mean, I almost whooped me too. Like I'm gonna get you, and I'm gonna tell your folks, and then when you get to the house, you can definitely expect that you're gonna get got again. So I think community plays a very important role and has played a very important role in my development. And when I say community, I'm not just talking about hometown
Right.
because my community is the world.
Hmm.
Because I've traveled, because I've networked, because I've met people from all over the world, that is my community. So I have influences from every corner of the United States, different parts of the world who have helped me, who have spoken life into me, who have mentored me, right? Who have served as a life coach for a period of time that has helped me develop.
It's pretty good. So how you keeping that community and building as you get older? We're not talking about just one set firm community.
Yeah, I think your community shifts as you evolve and develop. I think we talked about this earlier too, how you have your day ones, and then I'm in a space now where I feel like some of my day ones are kind of showing that they ain't day ones anymore. But I'm really leaning into the people who have showed up in my life like after. I pay
Yeah.
close attention to the people who show up when I'm down and who have stayed, right, through the mud, right, through the dirt. Not to say that they've stayed around and they've told and they haven't held me accountable, but I've recently had some people that just have shown me a different side of who they are,
Uh,
especially when it comes to, the investment in the relationship that we've had. And I've had to make, adjustments. So I think your community evolves as you evolve, and I think that's what keeps some people stagnant because they hold on to
mhm.
people that they should have really let go of.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying let go of them because they mean you no good. Like let go of them so they can go develop, and then maybe
Yeah.
y'all meet back up later down the road, and now you're at this level where you can continue to go higher. I don't
Yes,
want to hang
sir.
around you for 15 years and we doing the same thing we've been doing and we ain't going nowhere. We talking about the stuff we want to make happen, but we don't make nothing happen.
Yes, sir. Have you ever gone through a season where your spiritual practices felt dry or difficult?
Oh yeah, for sure. And if I'm being honest, this is why success sometimes is a challenge
Mm.
because once you reach a goal or a milestone in life, it's like all of the things that you did to get there, you stop doing them because you feel like you've arrived. So for me,
Yeah,
there was a period of
yeah.
time like where I was like when I was in Birmingham by myself, I was reading the word, I was fasting, I was praying, I was being disciplined in certain areas that was giving me issues and problems. And like I was good. And then it was like once I ascended to this new level, once I entered into a new tax bracket, once I was able to live a more comfortable life, it was like, okay, I don't need these things anymore. So
Yeah.
I stopped being committed and consistent. Like, and God always has to remind me, hey, don't forget where you was just at.
Mhm.
And sometimes he gives you an opportunity to kind of refocus and reset. But when you don't do that, he has a way of pulling you right on. and I love my relationship with God because He doesn't pull me all the way back to square one. He just pulls me back so I can have a glimpse of, hey, you're not too far removed from where I just elevated you from. So don't get so high and mighty and think that you got here on your own. So definitely have experienced seasons of life where I was committed and then I wasn't as committed. And it seems like my the length of the season of not being as committed go longer than the
Longer than it.
seasons
Yes,
of being
sir.
committed. Yeah.
Glad I'm not by myself on that one.
No, you're not, brother. I promise you that.
Man, how do you maintain a consistent prayer life amidst busy schedules?
Can I be honest? I don't feel like I've been doing a good job of maybe the last month.
Okay.
But if I'm being honest, through failure and disappointment and being hard on myself, sometimes I find myself not praying because I be like, God ain't listening to me. What do you want to listen to me for? Because I ain't listening to him.
Hey. Yeah,
I'm just saying. But
it's fair
but
game.
see, that's a ploy of the enemy to get you not to talk
Right.
to and not to commune with God, right? If we are believers, we have direct access to God,
Yeah.
right? Through Jesus Christ, our Lord and Savior, right? So I think I've just gotten back to a place, and I was telling my mentor, uh, Dr. Cedric Stubblefield, shout out to Dr. Stubblefield. Everybody needs a mentor in their life. A couple, in my opinion. He always asks me this question: how's your relationship with God? How is your time with God going? And I've shared with him that I feel like sometimes I don't think God listens to me because I'm not doing what it is that I need to be doing. Um, but to answer your question, you have to be intentional. Like I literally have to get to the place, so I have to tell myself the same way you get up at 5 a.m. in the morning and go to the gym, you need to set that type of time for prayer.
Yeah.
You need to set that type of time for meditation or reading. Like you literally have to be intentional and incorporate that somewhere in your schedule. You can't never be too busy to stop and pray. You can't be you. That's why when that's let me tell you something else I have to start doing or stop doing. You ever told somebody they tell you what they got going on in their life, and you be like, "Oh, I'm gonna pray for you,"
Yeah.
and then you just go on about your day and you don't
Yeah.
pray at all? You know what I literally have to start doing? I'm gonna pray for you right here. Let me go and pray for you right now while it's
Yeah.
on my mind, because you don't know if you're gonna see that person again. And what if your petition to God was the very thing that stayed his hand to say, you know what? Okay, I ain't gonna allow this to happen. So it has to be intentional. Like you eat every day, like I go to the gym every day, like I plan on doing this or doing that. You got to make plans to spend time with God. So much so that it becomes second nature and you just can't go throughout the day and not have no time.
How has how has your involvement in Greek life influenced your Christianity faith, or vice versa?
Huh.
Vice versa.
Um, how has my involvement with Greek life influenced my faith or vice versa? I think my involvement with Greek life has reminded me that my identity is not in the things that I do, but in who I put my trust in.
Okay.
So my identity is in Christ.
Right.
So I'm a member of Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated. Oh, six to the good bros.
Hey.
Uh, I'm a member of Alpha Phi Alpha, but Alpha Phi Alpha is not who I am. It is just a platform for me to continue to do what I already believe in. So we say, first of all, servants of all, we shall transcend all, manly deeds, scholarship, and love for all mankind. These are things that I already aligned with
Yeah.
before I became a member of Alpha Phi Alpha. And Alpha just gave me a bigger platform with a much larger network to connect with other brothers who believe in the same things that I believe in. But I feel like some people join and then they lose who they are. So now their organization becomes their God. Now their organization becomes their idol. and they lose sight and lose focus of who the real God is and where
Yeah.
their identity lies.
Great answer. uh, have you ever been faced with any challenges balancing out the values of your frat versus religious beliefs?
Oh, for sure. Yeah, because I'm not gonna sit up here and be like, you're not challenged in the things that you value. Like there are some definitely carnal influences when it comes to being, a member of Greek life. I wasn't a I wasn't a big drinker. Like I think maybe before I went to college, maybe I had one drink. But when I got to college, I became I started I started drinking. I
Yeah.
started doing the things that, the people around me were doing. And this isn't a slight at them. This has everything to do with, okay, your foundation ain't firm
Who you
enough. But
were?
again,
Yeah,
when I
yeah.
went to college, I was 18,
Hmm.
19. I told you my relationship with God really didn't get real and deep to me until 22, 23. So again, I'm searching for myself. I'm developing right along this path. So yes, there are some challenges with what you value as a believer versus what this culture values. And
Yeah.
again, I'm not talking about Alpha Phi Alpha.
Right.
I'm talking about the people who are in the organization who don't believe like you believe, or who are into other things that you may not be into. And again, it's not their fault. It has everything to do with, okay, Rob, what you gonna do?
Yeah.
Are you gonna go along to get along, or are you gonna hold firm and fast to what you say you believe in?
Are there any spiritual practices or beliefs you've been able to share or integrate within your?
Fraternity.
Yes.
So I'm gonna give y'all some information without giving away secrets of the organization, right? We don't like to use People don't like to hear that word secret, right? So if I'm being completely honest with you, um, the ritual of Alpha Phi Alpha has God and Jesus Christ all through it. So at the very firm foundation of who we are as an organization, being created over 115 years ago, Christ is recognized. God is recognized. Even specific sentences saying, our Lord, our God, right? In the beginning was the Word, right? So all of these things are deeply rooted in our organizations. That's what I can't say our organization, but I'm pretty sure, especially with Alpha Phi Alpha. So that's why when people try to say we're satanic and we worship the devil, I just look at them crazy and I go about my business. Because first of all, you ain't even in a Greek organization. Two, you ain't even an alpha, so you can't tell me what goes on in my organization. So it's already there. But again, it's the people who have come through, who have made it what it is, and have caused
Right.
people to think that we do operate demonically to a certain degree. My daddy is a pastor. Some of y'all had him for a school teacher. He's also a member of Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated. He pledged in 1976. My daddy has not denounced Alpha Phi Alpha, nor has he made Alpha Phi Alpha his God. I saw my daddy get up every day, go to school, teach the community, and then turn around and come home and go work at the church.
Yeah.
So his commitment has always been unto God. So yeah.
No love lost. How do you handle situations where Greek life, social events, or practices might challenge your personal morals or spiritual boundaries?
Again, you got to know who you are. Um, I told you I work at Texas State University, and a couple of days ago we had what we call Meet the Greeks, and that's an opportunity for students who want to join Greek life, where they come and they get more information and history about the organizations. And one of the things that I told them before we started the program was that they needed to find themselves before they came looking for Greek life.
Yeah.
Um, you need to have a firm grip on who you are as an individual before you go seeking membership in whatever, whether that's Jack and Jill, NAACP, Greek life, basket weaving club, whatever it is that you want to align yourself with, you need to figure out who you are. And once you have a firm grip on that, I feel like you can make a better decision on the things that you want to align yourself with. So when you do find yourself in these circles, in these organizations, when when people are starting to engage in things that go against what you value and your morals, then you can be like, no, I'm good. Y'all go ahead. No,
Yeah.
have fun, but I'm good.
Anything that you want to specifically talk about
Say
relating
in that
to? Yeah.
regard, I mean, being a part of Alpha Phi Alpha has been an incredible experience in my life, and I don't shy away from that. I think people who know me know that I am black and old gold through and through. Like
Yeah.
I love my organization, but I care for people regardless. I didn't need Alpha Phi Alpha to like boost me up.
Yeah.
Like I was already confident in who I was. I would even argue to say that I've helped Alpha since I've been in Alpha because of who I am and the work that I've done. Um, so it's not something that I wear as though I feel like I'm better than other people. It was just something that I accomplished, and whether I'm an Alpha or not, I'm still gonna be me.
Mm.
So I think people just need to, as we say, do your research and really look at the community impacts and the strides that people in all D9 organizations have made to the culture and to the people that look like us.
Cool. Earlier, you mentioned something about mental health. How do you feel like that takes up? How do you feel about that in mental health in the church?
I feel like I can believe in God and still go talk to a licensed professional counselor.
Yeah.
Um, I started therapy. I started my first round of like counseling and therapy. I want to say back in 2017, 2018. Shout out to my best friend, Whitley Watson. I remember I was sitting at my desk at work one day, and I called her, and I was just like, "Friend, I can't do this no more. This life had just had me weighed down."
Yeah.
I was like, "Man, I can't do this no more." She was like, friend, you can't do that." And she was like, "I want to connect you to my therapist."
Yeah.
Um, Shout out to Frida Thomas. She's no longer in Texarkana, but she was in Texarkana, and that was the first few counseling sessions I had ever had were with her. And when I tell you, it was so refreshing to be able to sit down and talk to somebody, one who didn't know you, two listen to you, but listen to you from a lens that wasn't judgmental.
Yeah.
And from that moment on, I was like, I got to have this. Like, I'm not, therapy is not a substitute for the word of God. I am human,
Right.
and God has gifted people in the field of mental health and health, as we talked about earlier today, to be able to help us along this path,
Mm.
right? So I believe in Jesus, and I believe in going to sit down on somebody's couch and talking through your issues and your problems,
Sure.
so you don't continue to have excuses. You can really work towards solutions so your life can get better, so you can see the world in a different perspective than what you're currently looking at it.
Do you think the church addresses mental health issues effectively?
Some do, some don't. I think in churches that are real traditional and they are scared of change, it's easy to just throw Jesus on everything and take two sips of this and then go on about your way. Yeah, I get that.
Yeah.
Like I get it. Again, counseling therapy is not a substitute for the word of God, because I believe that the word is true. What I'm saying is I need somebody that I can talk to
Yeah.
that can help me along this path and on this journey. And I know some people who may watch this episode, they may say, well, that's what you got people in the church for. Because because folks in the church who taught Christ are not qualified to give some people advice. Nor can they help coach you through life. We ain't gonna talk about church hurt. We ain't got time to talk about all of that, but we'll just leave that alone. But I just feel like there are some churches who do a good job. They're more progressive because they've come out of that. Again, there were a lot of things that I heard my daddy talk about in the pulpit that I had to go read and research on my own as I got older, and I had to like come up out of it because contextually it just wasn't right. But because of the internet, because of the access to information that we have now, there's no excuse to take stuff out of context now. Because you can go read it for yourself. You can understand the times back then and the context in which they were saying it to understand what it really means. So I believe in this. I believe in having conversation, right? To help people see things from a different lens. But number one, you got to make sure the change that you seek is not your own personal agenda. So you got to make sure that you don't spend time with the Lord and he's telling you, all right, this is the direction that I would like to see this go in. And I want you to be one of my change agents. I think sometimes we seek out change because there are personal benefits to us and not benefits to everybody in the kingdom. You understand what I'm saying? That's the first thing. The second thing that I would say is you can go and look at the Bible and see that persuading people is not how you get change. Case in point, when they sent the 12 tribes to go scope out the promised land, 2 came back and said, we can take it. 10 came back and said, no, it's some giants over there and we can't. But watch this. The 2 leaned on the promises of God. The 10 looked at the problems that they saw in the promise. The 10 went and they were looking at the giants. Joshua and Caleb came back and they were like, man, look at these grapes. You see how big these grapes are? It take more than one person to bring these grapes back. So I don't even try to influence people. I think because when we think about influence, we try to get the majority to go along with us. And if you look throughout the Bible, God has done a great and mighty work with a very few amount of people. It wasn't the army that went into Egypt and freed the slaves. It was one man, watch this, who spent time with God on the backside of a mountain, who heard from God directly, who obeyed God and went and told Pharaoh, you got to let my people go. So sometimes, I talked about this with some friends of mine the other day. We look at stuff that's not socially acceptable as weird and different. And if you really want to be a change agent, you can't look like everybody else. How you want to affect change, but you want to do and be like everybody else? That's why I love the life that I live. I love that people talk about me. I love that people don't understand me. I love that people love to say whatever they want to say, whatever they want to say. Because I'm not like everybody else. I don't mind being direct. I don't mind asking questions because that's how I get information. Yeah. There are some people who are just like, I'm just going to go along and get along. Moses, you making it hard for us. You making it hard for us coming in here like this. Now he done doubled our load and he done gave us less material to do the work that we got to do. Moses, you hurting us. No, I'm really trying to free y'all. Yeah. So that change, again, that begins with you. And just trust and know that God is going to put the people along your path to change. And maybe the change that you're looking for ain't going to happen in the place that you at. So maybe you got to move your feet and go affect change somewhere else. Because there are some places that ain't going to change. But watch this. That's why they're going to wander around in the wilderness and die off. That's one of the things that breaks my heart about the pandemic. You know how many churches closed their doors but didn't open them back up? Yeah. Because they didn't have young people. Because we ain't finna have no virtual ministry. We ain't finna get on Facebook and Instagram. The worst thing is some of them had young people and ran them off. And now you don't even have the hands to do the work that you really need to get done. And again, I'm not saying that I hear the old saints all the time. Well, you just can't come in God's house and do what you want to do. I get that. You should have been saying that back in the 80s, the 70s, when all of this other stuff was going
Yeah.
on. Because y'all was doing what y'all wanted to do in the Lord's house. That's just anyway. What I'm saying is, I get it that you just can't come in God's house and do whatever. But what I am saying is, we don't live in the 80s no more. Times have changed. Technology is a part of life. I saw you had some questions in there about technology. If you don't have a social media presence online right now, people don't understand ministry. The way technology is set up, you can minister to people in Africa, and you ain't even got to go to Africa. I know pastors right now who have members in their virtual congregation that give more than the people that show up in person. So I'm just saying. So it's like when people come to a building and feel like if I'm not here, the church ain't gonna keep moving. In the words of my daddy, fool around and die, and see how insignificant your life was because you want to
Man,
sit around and talk about it ain't gonna go on if I ain't here. Okay,
me.
man, and roll you right on out. Listen, that's just like on your job. That's why. That's why I'm really changing my whole concept and idea about having to work. I gotta work to live, right?
Yeah,
I'm
I'm
not
living to
living to
work.
work.
Yeah.
Because as soon as I decide I don't want to be here no more, or as soon as they feel like I'm no longer a valuable asset to the organization or the company, they'll fire me tomorrow, they'll lay me off, and then they'll post my job the next day. And they'll have somebody else in here.
My last job, I literally put my 2 week notice in. I was in training at the time, and put my 2 week notice in. And he was like, "Really, Robert? You don't even have to come back."
You don't even have
And I was
to.
like, "Bro, I don't." I don't start my next job until 2 weeks, bro, and I need a paycheck. So like, what? What?
That's
And
what
he
I'm
was like,
saying. So think about all of this loyalty that we
"Yeah,
give to these different places who literally show you, oh, we don't need you.
it's a crazy world."
It's life. It's people. But that takes me back to what has my relationship with the church taught me and how has it helped me evolve. I really and truthfully want to treat people how Christ used to treat people.
It depends
Like,
on which people, because on some of them he was just ruthless with.
I
Like,
mean, I feel you. I'm
yeah,
just talking about just in general.
yeah,
I want to be able to hold myself accountable, right? Like, I'm not judgmental. I don't point no finger. But when I encounter people, here's one thing I love about Jesus. Jesus never encountered a problem that he passed on to somebody else. Jesus never
that's
ran
fair.
into somebody that he was like, that ain't my issue and my problem. You need to go over there and talk to them. And I just want to be like an example of, man, I don't really, I ain't no believer, but the way you treated me and the love you showed me, I'm sick. I may have to try this Jesus thing.
Yeah.
And that's what happens. You beating me over the head, you telling me I'm going to hell. That ain't the thing that transforms people's
No.
lives, man. The thing that transforms people's lives is how you treat them. It's how you love them. It's how you interact with them. Some of the people that we come in contact with, they are one conversation away from ending it all or giving it another try. So when they run into you, when those people run into you and you don't have the backstory of their life, what are you saying to them? How do you treat them? Watch this. How are you treating them when you ain't having no good day?
Yeah.
What's coming out of your mouth then? I'm telling you the things that I think about because I don't want to be, and I have been that person. I've been a person that has encountered people before and I didn't treat them well. And now they have a bad taste in their mouth about life, love, and God because of me. And I own that. There's some people right now who just they're jaded because of the way Robert Webb treated them. And I don't want that to be the story of my life. So that's why every day I get up, it's another opportunity for me to do something different or to get it right that day. I know we just went all over the place, but
Y'all good, man. Y'all good. Um, I feel like I remember now what I was saying on how would the church change, or what would be the best outcome for the church to change most in with accepting mental health as an issue, and should do you think it should address it more than what it do?
Um,
Like, is it a should it be? Oh, go for
no, no, no. I was just gonna say the church has to do a better job of utilizing the skills and the gifts of the people who are in the church. Doctors, lawyers, mental health specialists, they go to the church. But there are some church leadership who feel like they have all of the answers. But y'all are not experts in this field.
it. Okay.
What did Jesus tell the disciples, the ones that was fishermen? Y'all fish? Come here. I'm gonna use the skills y'all got, and I'm gonna teach y'all how to go fish for men. God didn't. Oh, I'm gonna make you an architect. No, I want to take the skills that you have, and I want to use it for my glory. So the church has to learn how to identify and utilize the skills, the gifts, and the talents of the people who are already in the space. But the problem and the issue with that is because we have these cliques, we have these cults in the church, and it's hard to penetrate these things to get actual work done.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, I want to give my gifts, I want to give my time, I want to give my talent, but I don't want to have to go through Sister Jenkins, who's been here 20 years, and have to listen to her say, we ain't never done that. Why are we doing that? Well, that's because the generation of people who are coming to our church have explicitly expressed that mental health is an issue. And if you ain't well versed in it, your pastor ain't well versed in it, your deacon board, your trustees, if y'all ain't well versed in it, then who can help? Then why not utilize the people who are skilled in this? I'm just saying. I met a
I'm with you.
woman, Dr. Hattie Mae Pierce.
Name sound familiar.
Hattie Patterson. Hattie Patterson. She was the pastor of the church that I played at when I was living in Detroit. And she was the one that taught me how to really war in the spirit. When I moved to Detroit, I really learned that my words had power. Cause she would tell you, I was a thug in the streets before I got saved. So when I got saved, I didn't come over here to be meek and mild. No, I came over here to war in the spirit now.
Yeah.
So again, like it's not about I need to alter and change everything about you. No, Jesus literally told them, y'all fishermen, I'm gonna show you how to fish for men. I'm gonna use the skills that you have for my glory.
That's good right there. What role does faith play in your healing or self care process?
I think it goes back to the very first question you asked me. Like the crowning jewel for me, outside of knowing that I have an expected end, which is eternal,
Mm-hmm.
is that no matter what I'm going through, I know I'm gonna be all right. If I get sick, I'm gonna be all right because I'm a believer. So I know where I'm headed. If I'm sick, I know that God can. Man, it's like the three Hebrew boys.
Mm.
Hey, you can throw. Hey, listen. We understand you gonna throw us in this fiery furnace. We believe that our God is able to deliver us, and even if He don't deliver us out of this,
Yeah.
we still ain't gonna bow because it's gonna work out in our favor either way. So, like, faith is essential. Again, that's why I put on this reckless faith shirt today
Yeah.
because I ain't just talking about this. I done lived in this. I done been in some places and some stuff done happened that I didn't think I was gonna recover from. And yet here I am today talking from a different perspective. Cause where I was ain't where I am.
Where we at is not where we're going.
Man, that part. I like how you
Yes,
added
sir.
that in. And where I am is not the final destination.
Yes, sir. All right. How do you reconcile the concept of a loving God with the existence of suffering in the world.
Well, again, I go back to the Word of God. He already told us that
Man,
we was
yeah.
gonna have to suffer. I mean, man that is born is of a few days. That means we on this earth, we ain't gonna be here for a very long time. And in the short amount of time we're gonna be here, those days are gonna be full of trouble. So the word already tells me that suffering is involved. But even if you don't want to look at the Old Testament, let's just go to the New Testament. Christ came down here, the word was made flesh to walk through all of the stuff that he walked through to then be crucified. And if we're gonna be Christ-like,
Yeah.
we all got a cross that we gotta. That's why Jesus said, "Hey, just know if they hate you, they hated your boy first."
Yeah.
You're not going to experience anything that I have not experienced. So, Robert, when people that are closest to you that say that they're gonna ride or die for you betray you, they did it to me.
Yeah.
When you lose faith, when you want to give up, guess what? I had those same feelings. So one, the word already tells us, and Christ is the shining example of, okay, I got it. I'm gonna have to suffer, but if I just continue and I pursue and I set my mind on things above, as it says over in Colossians, then I'm gonna be all right. I'm gonna be good. Because at the end, what I'm looking for ain't here.
Right.
And that's where people make the mistake. I'm trying to get the new car. I'm trying to make it to six figures. I'm trying to be the CEO of a Fortune 500 company. You can't take none of that with you. And again, this is something that I really had to come to the realization of within the last couple of years of life. What are you really pursuing? Like even in doing this podcast, what's the purpose? Is it for your own self gratification? Is it for the views? Because I would offer to you that if 100 people watch this, the entire time you do these, and they're inspired, some give their life to Christ out of that 100, you've made a greater impact than people who get 50 million views in 3 hours on their podcast.
Yeah.
What are we really doing? Is it impactful? Now I'm asking that question. I already know that it is impactful because when you asked me to come on here, you sent me a nice little write up to tell me the whole purpose, and I'm like, I can get with that.
Sure.
But if we just gonna have a conversation just about Diddy and what's going on with him, I mean, that's not
Slippery slope.
I mean, I'm just saying slippery pun intended, right? With all the balls of baby oil. All right, let's get back to where we was at. All right. Let's get back to where we was at, right? So that's what I'm saying. What's the intent? When you really sit with the fact that it really don't matter what I acquire here, I can't take it with me. There's nothing here that you're gonna take with you. You ain't even gonna take this body with you. That's why when I was growing up, they were like, "Oh, you got tattoos. You're going there." I'm the son of a pastor. These ain't pillow on and pillows. But I have a better understanding of the word for myself. This body ain't going with me. I'm gonna get a new body. I'm gonna get a new body where I'm going.
Got the trivia question time. If you didn't have anything else on the other subjects,
I mean, I'm here, man. I'm
cool.
here. While we're here, let's do what we're doing.
Yes, sir. First six come from the Old Testament. The first question is, who was the first king of Israel?
Saul.
Yes, sir. In the book of Genesis, what was the mother? Who was the mother of Isaac?
Sarah.
That was Abraham's son.
Uh-huh.
Cool.
Yeah. The one he was asked to turn around and sacrifice.
Okay.
But you do
What
know
was
there
it?
was one before Isaac, right? Ishmael.
Ishmael. Isaac Ishmael. Who is Ishmael?
So
Come off significance.
well, they were told that they were gonna have a son in their old age.
Yeah.
And because they felt like God was taking too long,
He had sex with
Sarah
yeah.
gave Abraham her handmaid named Hagar, and Abraham and Hagar had
Yeah.
Ishmael.
Remember
But
that.
Ishmael wasn't the promise. You can't manufacture what God is trying to do for you. That's why it's better to just chill and just
Yeah.
let him do what he gonna do. And I feel like God take his time sometimes just to see what we gonna do. So
That's
anyway,
facts.
so Ishmael came before Isaac, but Isaac was the promised one. But here's the beautiful thing. Oh, this is so good. Even in our mess,
Yeah.
the Lord still be blessing because he told Abraham he was going to be the father of many nations. Like out of his lineage, like you look up at the stars, you ain't going to be able to count them. But he still made Ishmael a great nation too. So yeah,
Blessings on blessings on blessings.
come on, man. Send him and Hagar away. And I believe it was the angel spoke to him and told him, don't worry about it. You're going to be all right. You got to be careful. I don't learn lessons like that. Moving too fast, getting ahead of yourself, and then you find yourself trying to dig yourself out of the hole that you put yourself in. I remember one day
Fasha.
I was here in Texarkana, and I had moved away, but I found myself, I was here in Texarkana, I was at Texas Roadhouse, I was sitting at the bar. And I remember in my mind, I said, man, God,
In
I'm
my
tired of
mind.
spinning my wheels. I'm just tired of spinning my wheels. And you know what the spirit said? Good, because I ain't tell you to go nowhere. Woo! And it was in that moment I was just like, the spirit was telling me, because the moves that you've been making, I didn't tell you to make them.
Yeah.
You tired because you tired. Think about that in your life. Think about the moments in your life where you found yourself frustrated. And in your frustration, you've lashed out at people, you've treated people wrong, but you frustrated because you
Yeah.
exerted energy that you didn't even have to exert.
They go back to what you said earlier too. You know, you rather be productive than busy because hey, busy can look good, but you gotta
I'm telling you, man, I'm telling
make
you, I
use
had to
of what you're
learn
doing.
that it's not about being busy.
Yeah.
It's about being, that's why people, booked and busy. Okay, but are you being productive? Think about it. I told some students the other day, I said, because they were talking to me about all of the things that they were involved in. And students love to be like, yeah, I'm in this club, I'm in this organization, I'm doing this, I'm doing that. And I see them running around and I'm like, but what are you actually getting done? When I go to the gym, I can get on the treadmill and run 3 miles and go nowhere. So, what are you really accomplishing by being busy and moving around? Some of us just need to get somewhere and sit down. One, so we can hear God talk. It's hard to hear somebody you ain't close to. It's it's hard to hear when you moving real fast. So you really just need to get somewhere and sit down. Because I'm telling y'all, there have been several moments in my life, even within the past year, where I didn't have to do nothing but just show up and be quiet, and God did what He was gonna do. Go read the story of Gideon. Go read the story about Gideon where the Lord told Gideon that he needed to go fight this army. I think they had, I don't want to lie, but at the end of it all, I think Gideon started off with 10,000 men. And I think they were going up against about 200,000. So you
Yeah.
already had a disadvantage. Tell me why God told Gideon, you got too many men. You need to get rid of them. Get rid of some. At the end of it all, Gideon had 300 men going up against 200,000. And they ended up winning the battle. Watch this. Because the Lord told Gideon, y'all need to get some lanterns, y'all need to get some lamps, Y'all need to get some trumpets and get some stuff y'all can make some noise with. And when I give you the signal, you're going to yell real loud. You're going to start blowing the trumpets. You're going to start making a whole lot of noise. You know what happened? The enemy was so confused, they got up and started fighting themselves and killing themselves. Getting them they ain't even ran into the camp yet. That's what I'm saying. When you get somewhere and and so you can hear, then when you hear, you can be obedient. And when you're obedient, that's when God shows you, this is why I'm him. This is why I'm him. Now unto him who is able, him. That's the real him.
Yes, sir. This one, how many plagues did God send to Egypt in the book of Exodus?
Oh, 10.
Cool. You know all of them? Give me 5.
So the river turned into blood, the firstborn, the locust, was it the frogs? Frogs in there. The livestock dying, fire, from the sky.
I don't have them, so I believe you though.
Was it complete darkness? One of them. They had boils.
Yeah.
That's 8. I'm gonna have to go back and check that. But yeah, that's 8.
Who led the Israelites into the promised land after Moses?
Oh, Joshua.
Yes, sir. In the book of Jonah, which city did God command Jonah to go to?
Nineveh. That's another story about being disobedient.
Yeah. Man, while we at it. What type of tree did Adam and Eve eat the forbidden fruit from?
Tree of life. What? The tree of knowledge, tree of good and evil.
Yeah. It's all good. 6 or 6 on Old Testament. Put in the video and give you a little applause.
Oh,
6.
appreciate
No.
that. Okay.
yeah. New Testament. Who baptized Jesus?
Oh, John the Baptist.
Yeah. How many apostles did Jesus have?
12.
Who did Judith get replaced with after he was?
Oh. Who did Judas get replaced with?
Yeah, who was the new
Oh. Is that a did they replace him?
I think so. Or the James?
James was already one of the
I mean, it was another James. I had to look it up.
Yeah, you had me go look up that. So yeah, I didn't get that one right. I don't is that on there?
It wasn't on here.
Oh,
it was
that was just a bonus one?
Yeah, it was a bonus.
You gonna make me Google that.
My phone will do not disturb, so I can't even do nothing. Yeah, try it out. Bro, what is his name? James? I mean, it was
Matthias.
Matthias.
Yeah, Matthias. This is what it says. Yeah, Saint Matthias, according to the Acts of the Apostles, was the apostle chosen by the remaining 11 apostles to replace Judas, following Judas's betrayal of Jesus.
Replace Jesus. That's weird.
Okay.
I know that because I used to have a dude that worked with me at Journeys named Matthias, and I was like, "That's a pretty wild name." And he was like, "Well, you know." Like, oh, nice.
And I was about to say, Jesus wouldn't have made the decision.
Yeah, because
So it wouldn't have had to be on them.
It says they
he was busy at the time.
Yeah.
He was busy being productive.
It says they casted lots, and the lots fell on Matthias, and he became
What is
the
lots?
chosen one. like uh casting lots is like it's like rolling of the dice, I guess, in a
Gotcha.
sense. Yeah. Well, no, I don't want to say that. Nah, let me give you the real. That's why we got technology. That's why we got technology.
We ain't
I
even
want to
got
tell
there
you
yet.
what it is. Casting lots is I mean, it's kind of like dice. Practice of selecting someone or something by chance. Yeah.
It's cool. You don't have like an object. You just be like,
Nah, I mean they
any, many,
have
money, mo.
I mean this is what they have in there is casting lots. They kind of look like dice.
Yeah.
I just
Okay.
didn't want to. I didn't want to be wrong like that.
Ancient dice. Dang, nothing new under the
Ain't that
sun.
what the word say? Okay, all right.
Remake. That's music and everything.
That's what I'm
We
saying.
think we be doing something. They
They
already
did nothing.
did.
Yeah.
Man, we peeking up on our last few minutes together, so I'm gonna try to go through a few more of these without just
Okay.
this one for sure that we got to talk about social justice and faith.
Uh oh.
Ah,
Uh oh.
what do you believe is the most important social issue for Christians to focus on? For Christians to focus on in today's time,
Love.
what beliefs do you think? Social issues, love, loving one another.
Yeah.
Okay,
I mean, I just
that's
I
what.
feel like it's simple, but it's
Yeah,
impactful because you said for believers, right? For
yes, sir.
Christians. Okay. Jesus told them, "This is how they will know that you are my disciples.
Yeah,
This is how they will know that you are one of mine by how you what? By how you love one another." And I
that's
feel like
facts.
from that, everything else should everything else flows.
Mm,
So I think that's a social justice issue before we can talk about the LGBTQ rights, transgender rights, women's rights, Black Lives Matter. Before we can talk about all of that, like the concept of it all, the foundation of it all should be love.
do you believe America is still a Christian nation?
I don't think we've ever been a Christian nation.
And you standing like,
I don't think we've ever been a Christian nation.
okay,
I think we've made decisions in the name of God, but that don't mean we a Christian nation. How we gonna be
fair.
a Christian nation when we was built on the backs of slaves, our
Come on now.
ancestors? Even the Catholic Church was killing folks in the name of God during the Crusades.
Mm,
So how we
don't
this
get me canceled by the Catholics, bro. No, I'm
no,
joking.
I'm just, but I'm saying, but
Yeah.
again,
No, you're
that's why it would, as my daddy would say, it behooves you to go do some reading. Because when you really get into the weeds of these things, you're like, man, this what God got to do with this? You know how they used the Bible back in slavery to keep the slaves enslaved? How they take scripture out of context to say, slaves, obey your master?
The same way that people use the Bible today.
Exactly. Ain't nothing new under the
Ain't nothing
sun.
new under the sun. Same, they pick and choose what sin they gonna push on people.
Man,
We can't even get into that.
that's what I'm
That's
saying.
a whole other topic. But you talking about
Are we a Christian nation? No, we ain't no Christian. Hell no, we ain't no Christian nation. Do I still think no, not at all. I don't think we've ever been a Christian nation. And I know some people gonna have some stuff to say about that, but go read. Go read for yourself. Again, this is what I'm talking about. I'm part of the weird or different people, or
no.
because you just can't tell me that the sky is blue. I got to go see it for myself. Because literally, people today get their information off of social media.
Yeah.
They don't fact check it. And I ain't even gonna get in politics. I'm not gonna do it. I ain't gonna do it. Said I wasn't gonna do it. I'm not gonna do it. But that's why a certain individual who is running for president can say whatever he wants to say and people believe him.
Yeah.
They eating cats and dogs in Springfield, Ohio. What that got to do with you running the nation? Then you want to talk bad about the Haitians. So now everybody, man,
you know the sad thing though, I don't even think that they really believe it. It just gives them an excuse to be evil.
Watch this. I don't care whether or not they believe him or not. That's why again, when people ask me questions like, do I believe that the United States is still a Christian nation? Still would suggest that we were once were. And I just don't see it.
I agree with you with that. I believe it has like its beliefs and not even values, but
Because when you say a nation, who are we talking about?
Texas.
No, I'm just saying, who are we talking about?
When you say one nation under God,
Like the government.
That's what I'm saying. You
the individuals.
That's what I'm saying. Who is the nation?
The people.
I know what the nation of Islam is and what they believe and what they practice.
Yeah.
But to say is the United States a Christian nation? No, we're not. We love to use the term "in God we trust," and I mean they took prayer out of schools. What is the nation? Or are we talking about politics here?
when we were in school, I don't think they. You know what's so sad though? I don't think they actually took it out. They made it very unpopular for you to do it because they still had prayer at the poll, but nobody was at the poll anymore. Because they just made it unpopular. They said they were going to take it out, but they really couldn't technically take it out.
Man,
so they like instead of it, they just made it to where it wasn't popular anymore, and eventually people just stopped doing it. But you still had the opportunity.
that's why it's important for every man and woman to have a real relationship with the Lord for real. Because what we love to do is like the school that got shot up a couple of weeks ago. Let's pray for. We love to pray when tragic stuff happens.
Mm-hmm.
What are we praying for right now? It's a whole lot of folks praying that this whole political thing shakes out in the best interest of the nation. But who is the nation we talking about? And I'm not saying not to vote. I'm a registered voter. I'm going to vote. I'm going to cast my vote in the best interest of me and my family when it comes to living here on this earth and abiding by the laws of the land. But again, I have an eternal perspective that this world ain't my home.
Yeah. Scary.
It's only scary for those who ain't got no hope.
Okay.
Because God has not given us a spirit of fear, but of power and of love and of a sound mind.
Preach, Reverend.
I'm just saying what the Lord said.
Just said the Lord. Do you think the church has a role to play in advocating for justice and equality?
Yes.
Why?
Because people go to church and people are affected by what happens in their communities. So I feel like the church has a responsibility of advocating. And I will say this. For the most part, there are churches who do a good job of that. They advocate for the homeless. They advocate for the hungry. They advocate for those in need. Clothing drives. The church that I go to, I know we do clothing drives. We have an outreach ministry that does work within the communities as well. So I believe that we have a role to play. Now, I think it's up to the individual church and organization to figure out to what extent that role is being played. But we play that role with also the understanding of this is an opportunity to minister and introduce people to Christ and offer people Christ.
Yeah.
Again, I don't want to just, you know, give a man a fish, he'll eat for a day. Teach him how to fish, he'll eat for a lifetime. That's why when Jesus ran into the woman at the well, somebody that society said they ain't supposed to be hanging out with, she came to get water, and he told her, "I give you some water, and you ain't gonna never thirst no more."
Yeah.
Like but watch this though. She has a physical need. We can't do away with the thought of she needs something. She needs water. But also while I'm giving you this water, let me give you a dip from this living water so you don't thirst no more.
Uh, we kind of talked about this earlier. Anything else on the social justice?
I just I just feel like everybody can be an advocate. Only thing you got to do is just actually get out here in the community and serve and work.
Yeah.
And there are several things that you can do within this community here within Texarkana. You can get with my boy Jonathan Boyce, who does a lot of advocating around within this community. Being an advocate and being a social justice person is more than making a post on Facebook. I said this years ago, I think in 2020 when George Floyd got killed, just because you got a sign and a megaphone, it don't make you a social activist. Because what are you actually doing within the community? So
it's good.
That's something you can do. You can go to these elementary schools and read for a couple of hours a week. Just go read to the students. I'm just talking about black men. You can go into the classroom, go through their vetting process and go read. So young black boys can see black men in the classroom reading. Watch this. To go back to my Greek life experience. When I was pledging, when I was online, there was an elementary school on campus at Drew Central High School in Monticello, Arkansas. While we were online, every day we had to go to the elementary school and read for at least 30 minutes to an hour, providing our schedule, allowed us.
Yeah.
So we would go in the classroom and read. You know what we did once we came offline? We kept doing that.
Yeah.
We built a reputation, a rapport with the school and with the students. So much so that they allowed us to utilize, their auditorium to throw our homecoming step shows. We were already doing it, but they would give us some concessions. They would look out for us. They would let us know, hey, this is gonna be the first day you're gonna be able to reserve this space. So I'm just letting you know. So there's stuff that you can do, and it doesn't have to be something big. Go to the Randy Sam shelter and help hand out food. Go volunteer at the Goodwill when people pull up to intake items. I just think there's so much that can be done, but there's so many people not doing nothing. That's why Jesus looked out among them and cried and said, "The harvest is plentiful, but the laborers are few."
It's like bar at the bar, man.
Again, these ain't my bars. These are bars from the Bible, man.
Have you noticed any cultural shifts that have impacted how people view Christianity?
Cultural shifts. Cultural shifts. I will say I feel like there's a big movement for like CCM music,
CCM?
especially within the black church. It's almost like
What's CCM?
Christian contemporary music.
Okay.
I don't want to say it how I want to say it, but like let me see. Elevation worship,
You know, like elevation worship.
I'm not saying I don't like it.
That's
I'm
what
just saying I feel
that's
like
what that
there's a
is.
huh.
That's what CCM
Yeah, it's
is.
like CCM music. Like Jireh, you are enough, and I will be content in every circumstance. That's CCM
Gotcha.
music. Uh, what's my girl name? CC Winans. She's really leaning into that whole CCM, and she's always been CC Winans, but she definitely leaning in. Goodness of God, that's a CCM song. It's an excellent CCM song. So I feel like this cultural shift to like, and I'll be honest. At first, I was like, man, we losing gospel music because that's unique to us. And I ain't got time to get into all of that. But gospel music is like it's a struggle sound. It's a that's the soul. That's where like the soul in our music comes from. It comes from like our experience. It comes from like the things our ancestors walked through, and how that has carried over into where we are today. But I feel like there's a cultural shift within this CCM realm where I just feel like there are more and more people going into it, which isn't bad now that I'm sitting here thinking about it because it's almost like we're coming together with like one voice, like one sound, one theme, right? So, and I feel like that's impacting the kingdom because more and more people are starting to listen to these songs and post these songs on social media. Um, Also, people are leaning more into it's been a thing, but it hasn't been getting as much notoriety as other things. But even Christian rap, Lecrae has been out for a while, long time. But then you got like Andy Mineo, and you got all of these other people, 1K Few, all of these people, and I mean, and it's like it is it again because of technology and social media now we have access. Now we get exposure to these things that we didn't know about. And all it takes is one person to post it. And you're like, man, what is that?
How has your faith influenced any creative work you've done?
I mean,
Simple as the
bro,
album you did.
it's in everything. So the name of the album is called Life Goes On.
Life goes on.
And again, where I am is not where I was. And in moments and in times in my life where I thought it would be the end,
Yeah.
God showed up. And guess what? Life moved on. You live and you learn and you move on. So that's Life Goes On is really an album that just essentially talks about that. I want this album to inspire people to smile again, live again, breathe again, and love again because life goes on.
Indeed. What role do you think art and creativity can play in spreading the message of Christianity?
I think we've named several artists that have done a great job of doing that. Ty
Yeah.
Tribbett, Molly Music. Again, art, like unique to who you are, is a testament that God only makes of one when it comes to creating individuals.
Yeah.
And that's why I go back to say we have gifts and talents in the church that can be utilized to help spread the message. This podcast, I hope that it encourages somebody, inspires somebody, right? Through my music, I hope somebody is inspired. I hope somebody is encouraged to keep going, to lift their head up, to try again, right? So art plays a big role. I mean, David, when Saul, the first king of Israel, um, who the people begged for, by the way, the people wanted a king. And God was like, all right, I'm going to give y'all who y'all want. But just know whatever y'all get into, it's y'all fault because I'm giving y'all what y'all want.
Yeah.
So when King Saul was being tormented by evil spirits, you know what David did? He played his harp. So yeah, art is definitely a tool to be used with spreading the message of the kingdom and the good news.
Here for it. Uh, How do you see technology influencing people's spiritual lives, both positive and negative? Positively and
Negative, I'll start with negative first. I think it can be a distraction.
yeah,
I mean, it just exposes you to a whole lot of stuff.
yeah,
But on the flip side of that, because people make apps that are spiritual apps, and because you can also get on social media and see stories of people overcoming and all of those other things, I think it could be good as well. I've seen several things online that encouraged me in a time where I needed it to encourage me.
yeah,
So again, we're using technology right now to
yeah.
record a podcast that you're gonna upload to social media, and hopefully, again, somebody sees it and they're inspired.
Um, how you maintain a balance between your online presence and your spiritual life?
How do I do that?
Yes. How do you
I
maintain
just
that?
recently got back on social media. I was gone for probably about a month and a half. Like when I met you, I wasn't on social media at the time. Like I literally decided I'm just gonna step away from social media.
What made you
And
want to do that?
just to refocus, just to really lean into the things that I needed to be concentrating on.
Yeah.
Because it's easy to waste an hour and 2 hours scrolling on your phone. It's easy to not do work that you need to get done because you scrolling.
Yeah.
Like I can't count how many times I've I've gone to the bathroom with my phone and I've been in there an hour and a half, 2 hours. Legs numb, but then I started thinking about all the stuff that I needed and wanted to get done in that day. And because I was distracted, now I got to adjust what I'm trying to do. And even now, being here in Texarkana to spend time with my kids, I took my kids to I Jump last night. Well, yesterday evening. Wasn't on my phone. I'm not even talking about taking my phone out to even record them and post them.
Yeah.
I'm sitting here in this moment and I'm literally looking at my kids thinking, man, I remember when I used to bring them here and they was this big, barely jumping.
Yeah.
Now they doing flips. And everything doesn't have to be captured and posted. There are some things, like you just said, you need to just be in the moment. Like there are moments where I've had moments in my life where I was like, you know what, I'm glad I didn't record this because I needed to be where I was at with who I was with, experiencing what we were experiencing.
Yeah.
I ain't got time to be doing this. I be looking at people at concerts now. They literally looking at their phone of what they recording, not knowing that you hear live. Why are you not looking at this?
Yeah.
You could have did that at home. And I'm not saying that it's bad, but think of this is the culture that we're in.
Yeah.
I gotta record it. I gotta There are just some things, the memory and the stories that I will tell you about it will make you wish you were there.
Quickly, I remember when we went to Colorado, me and him and my wife, we went to Colorado to go see the 85 South show. That's supposedly why I wanted to go.
Okay.
So we went to see the 85 South show, and the only part that I recorded was the part where they first came out.
Yeah.
After that, I've been waiting to see this show, bro.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna hold this phone.
I'm not holding the phone.
The phone gone. So I'm a live in the moment type of person.
Yeah, me too, man. Live in the moment. Yeah. I would have went to see the 85 South show, but then I'm also in Colorado, so I would have.
I was asleep. I slept the whole concert, bro.
Oh man, come
That's why I don't have any. I definitely would have recorded it.
You said you want to go or you have been?
I've been to Colorado.
No, I'm talking about the 85 South show.
I haven't been to 85 South show.
You know who they are, right?
Come on, man. Okay. Come on, man. Chico,
Reverend Fly,
DC Young Fly. Hey, he spoke a word though, didn't he? Man, bro, listen, and I'm trying to tell you, ever since he lost his girl, bro, the stuff that he's been saying again, that's why it's easy. That takes me back to what has my relationship with the church taught me. Because the church will look at, not everybody, but the church will look at somebody like DC Young Fly and be like, oh no, he can't come here.
Yeah.
But you heard what he said to the pastor when he got up.
I already, yeah.
He said, I ain't gonna be long.
I ain't gonna be up here long.
Yeah, but you know, it's amazing to see someone grow like
that. And that is the thing. Because folks in the church feel like, because they've been in the church for 50 years, you could, just because you've been in the church 50 years don't mean you've been growing for 50 years. Yeah. Some of y'all been in here for 50 years, but y'all still a baby.
It's the same church.
You 70 years old. We still trying to see.
I learned a long time ago. I attended a workshop or a training session, I think back in like 2017. And the guy that was facilitating the training said 10 years worth of expertise doesn't equate to 10 years worth of experience. Just because you've been doing something for 10 years don't mean that you are expert in that.
Yeah.
He said, I don't care how long you've been in this field working, it still don't make you an expert. Just because you've been doing it 10 years don't mean you're a 10-year expert. There's some folks that have been in the league 10 years, ain't got off the bench, for real. Ain't won no ring. They just in the league. Not to say that that's a bad thing. And you have some type of experience.
Yeah.
But 10 years.
That's the same thing as saying that, just because you got the education don't mean that you got the experience either. You don't have the experience to do this.
I would argue,
know how to, don't always.
As somebody that has 3 degrees, I would argue that there are people who are more qualified to do certain things because they have the experience. They are experts in it. Sure, I probably read about it in a book.
Yeah.
And I was able to take a test to determine whether or not I retained the information that was given to me. Oh yeah, that whole education thing, it's very important. But just because you got a degree, don't mean you know. You can look at Texarkana. It's a whole bunch of folks that got degrees here working in school districts that don't know nothing.
Speaking of that, some people are just.
I'm sorry, y'all. My bad.
But some people are just not good test takers.
That part.
Like when you put the paper in front of them.
Yes.
You lose the person. They like, man, I can't do this. But you put them on that job.
Execution.
Man, seriously, I've seen it.
Again,
my neighbor knows more than a lot of mechanics that I've talked to in these shops.
Mm-hmm.
Like I go in there and ask them a question. Well, we don't really know. I
mean, he's also a teacher too, so.
But that's what I'm saying. But he don't work in no shop. He just started doing that.
Yeah.
He's been an expert for years, and then he's been an expert for years, and he go in there and do somebody else's job. And I go in here for somebody that's been doing this job.
Yeah.
Literally, I watched them grow up here.
Yeah.
And I would ask them the same question that I asked my neighbor, and they can't give me a solid answer. I'm gonna ask him, buy the part, take it to them. They say, "Oh, this is what it is."
Mm.
Oh yeah, just put it on, because he already told me this is this is what it is. I said, I've done it. Save money.
How can Christians in the West better engage with the global church and its diverse perspectives?
I think we have to understand that Christianity wasn't started here.
Mm-hmm.
Like, the Bible took place not here in America. And some would even argue, again, they call it the King James Bible for a reason. Like, we're not even reading the original text.
Yeah.
But again, because of technology and information, now you have people who are going to seminary who study Greek, who study Hebrew, to really get the actual meaning of this. That's why I have some pastors that say this word in the Hebrew is a two-part word that means this and this. So now you have better context. I feel like we have to understand like where all of this stuff really originated from, and I think that would allow us and help us to be more inclusive in our thoughts about Christianity. Because it's almost like white Jesus. And I don't want to debate the skin color of Jesus, but Egypt and Jerusalem and Bethlehem ain't in New York City. I mean, where geographically, where is this? But I think because this Christian nation has taken it and have made it what they want to make it, when you're privileged enough to change the complexion of. Did you see that thing that came out over in Russia where they discovered these artifacts and these artworks of biblical figures and they were black? But how dare your Lord and Savior look like the very people you oppress?
Yeah.
Okay, thanks. Make that make sense. That would be hard to accept. I really believe if I ain't gonna say that. I ain't gonna say it. I believe like it's some people that would make it to heaven and would see that Jesus was colored and they were like, I don't want to be here. If we want to talk about
wrong,
that's what I'm saying. Everybody up here, y'all wrong. How we wrong? This is. But at the end of the day, that's why I say love is what it's about. Period.
What have arranged conversations done for you in this interview, and what do you hope it can do for others?
Well, it's given me an opportunity and a space to be me, authentically me, and to talk about my unique and personal relationship with God and my faith and how that has shaped me into who I am today. And I think we have a lot of people walking around in bondage, trying to be and fit the mold of what other people tell them to do. And as I said before, like I think I'm a part of that weird crew because I'm learning more and more how to show up in spaces authentically myself because I feel like that's the best way I can help you.
Yeah.
So this conversation we having is like how I chop it up with my inner circle of people. So this has allowed me to have a raw conversation and again show up authentically. And I hope that what arranged conversation specifically this episode does for people again causes them to reevaluate themselves, to really believe again, to really trust in God for real. Because at the end of the day, if we don't have no hope and trust in Him, we're going nowhere. Because it's easy to look at the world and have no hope. But I can look at the world and be disappointed or uneasy about things, but knowing that my faith and my trust is in God, again, I have an expected end, which is eternal. So I just hope that it inspires somebody and it encourages you to keep believing. And if you don't have a relationship with God, to get one. And I would love to have you can jump in my inbox. We can have a conversation. You got questions. You want to ask me more about, my life and my story. That's part of the thing that I'm working on before I drop the album. But I won't go too much into that. But yeah, I hope that this arranged conversation encourages them, inspires them. Keep living, keep loving, keep laughing, and know that God is real. When you have a relationship with Him, what did Israel Houghton say? When God is in it, there is no limit. Yeah. So yeah. Appreciate you having me on, man.
Yes,
This
sir.
has been a great
Appreciate
experience.
you for coming on, man. It's been a pleasure to have you.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Appreciate y'all for tuning in as well, man. We out.
Yep.